So, welcome everyone. I would like to thank Alexandra for the opportunity to be here and talk on behalf of KDE and on behalf of the KDE23 Foundation. I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes to explain some things about the KDE23 Foundation and how it helps, how it has helped over the years to secure the open source nature of the Qt framework. My name is Neofytos Kolokotronis. I've been a contributor for KDE for the last 7 years, I think. I've been up to recently a member of the board of directors of the KDE organization that supports KDE. I've been a co-founder of Open Data and Open Government initiatives back in my home country, Cyprus. And I've been around open source communities and open source organizations for the last 12 years. If I remember it correctly. In my day job, I'm the head of products and services at Foundation. It's a management consulting agency here in Greece. Big disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to be talking about licenses and agreements and contracts. Everything is based on my knowledge around the agreement and the KDE Foundation by being involved in KDE. I don't have any legal skills. So KDE, for those that don't know about us, it's one of the largest open source communities developing open source software, and it's at the same time the largest open source consumer of Qt, developing open source software based on Qt. The KDE, as I mentioned, it's a registered non-for-profit organization based in Germany that is there to support the business behind KDE, the legal aspect of it, and all the financial matters. So before I move on, big thank you to Albert, Cornelius, and Adrian, all of them part of KDE and KDEV, very involved in the KDE Foundation and the KDE organization, because I got a lot of insights and help and slides for the presentation from their previous work. Big disclaimer at the same time, they are not lawyers either. So, we're here today because Qt launched back in 1995. I won't talk a lot about Qt. There are much more experts here to talk about Qt later on. A year right after, KDE was launched, so by Matthias Edricht. The idea for him was to design a user-friendly graphic user interface for Linux-based distributions. Linux back then was in the early stages. It was mostly targeting administrators, developers, and things like that. So he wanted to build something for the end user, for the generic user. He wanted to build something open source, and he wanted to build it with Qt because, and these are quotes from his initial email, he felt that the Qt toolkit is of really high quality in terms of the technical aspect of it, and at the same time he found it very, very important that Trolltech back then was very, very supportive of Qt being open source. So Qt was launched with a dual license from the beginning. You can see that there was a Qt Professional Edition, which was meant for professional and commercial usage for proprietary software, and at the same time there was a Qt Free Edition that was for open source developers to develop open source software. However, in the beginning, Qt was provided under a custom license, which meant that there were some clauses, some restrictions that many people felt that they weren't compatible with the open source licensing and with free software in general. So there were several questions being raised. It made a lot of sense for Qt in a technical aspect for KDE to select Qt from a technical aspect in order to develop this. So Matthias made the right choice here, but there were many people from the open source community, from the free software community that had raised a lot of criticism around this open nature of Qt and to what extent Qt is free or not. So there were many licensing questions, mostly revolving around this. So what happens if, let's say, Trolltech decides to stop offering Qt in the free edition and closes it down only for proprietary commercial usage? What happens if they stop making it available to open source developers? If they stop overall, if they decide to do something else and they stop developing Qt, and there's no development based from the company. if they go out of business, and of course if they are affected by maybe an aggressive takeover. And as we will see in the next years, there were several takeovers in terms of the Qt ownership. The good thing is that they were not aggressive, so that's a good thing. So as a response to this, you might have heard of GNOME. They started GNOME as a reaction to these, these questions around the openness of KDE. It was an alternative free software desktop. Back then, the idea was to respond to all the criticisms, have something that is by the start fully open source. So Trolltech wanted to do something about it. They were from the beginning very pro open source. So is it better? Okay. There. Burkhard, I hope you're listening. So Trolltech was there in the first KDE meeting when the KDE community gathered up together in order to start doing things. And to their credit, they were there and they wanted to come there and find a solution to all these questions and this debate about Qt being open source or not. And after a lot of discussions with the KDE founders back then, they left this meeting with a statement that they want to start the foundation, the KDE Free Qt Foundation, and in order to help in the next steps of Qt being open source. So in the same year, KDE was founded. So because in order to be part of the foundation, KDE needed a legal presence, and so it had to be, at that time was just a community of people, and so they needed a legal entity in order to act as a partner in the contract. And a year later, the KDE Free Qt Foundation was established with the idea to control the right on the releases, on the future releases of Qt. So the purpose of the foundation, the idea was for it to be a separate entity that would host the license agreement between Qt and KDE, so that it would leave the company, the Qt company. So it was an independent foundation hosting the Qt free edition, let's say, rights on itself. And basically what they wanted to do is for the foundation to have the main, let's say in keeping the Qt free edition available, up to date in terms of the commercial releases, and usable for all open source development. Very quickly of the structure of the foundation. It's a very small foundation. It doesn't have any additional personnel or something, and all the representatives there are volunteers. 2 people from KDE, 2 people from Trolltech back then. Nowadays it's the Qt company. And what's very important, again, Trolltech was very brave in that front. They wanted Qt to be really open source, and they wanted KDE to, be, let's say, the main community, the main entity that would drive this open source nature of Qt. They gave in case of a tie, they gave KDE the right to prevail in terms of if there are 2 against 2 votes, then what the KDE members decide is what happens. So you can see again the power that Trolltech entrusted back then into KDE. So a very important clause in this license agreement that is hosted under the KDE Foundation is that the foundation is granted the right to release Qt, the free edition, of course, under the BSD license. There are 2 conditions that can make this happen. A, if the board unanimously decides to do so, so if all 4 members for some reason want to do it, then they can go ahead and do it. And the second one, which is more relevant, is that if there's no major release for the KDE free edition for 12 months after the commercial edition has been released, then the foundation can go ahead and release the Qt free edition under the BSD license. You see an asterisk there because there are some terms and conditions currently in the latest agreement. The Qt company needs to be notified that these conditions have been recognized and that they are there. So if the KDE Foundation people feel like there's something wrong, they should contact the Qt company, and they should give the Qt company at least 3 months to react on this, like to take the necessary measures in order to stop this situation from happening. So the BSD license I don't know if you know, but it's a very open license, a very free license in terms of it being an open source license. So it allows basically the use of Qt both for proprietary and for commercial usage, and at the same time it allows for someone to build a company, a new company, if whatever is some of the questions that we mentioned earlier. If some of this happens, Trolltech for some reason, Qt nowadays stops, you can start a new company similarly to what the Qt company is doing nowadays if whatever reason something goes wrong. So back to the historical context, I'll go a bit faster here. KDE was released soon after the agreement took place. Then Qt 2.0 was released. The important here is that it was released under a new license, the QtGreece license, again custom license, but this time recognized as a much more open source friendly license. So some initial criticisms left away there, and then most of the criticisms left completely when Qt 2.2 was released under a GPL version 2 license. So GPL was by then the most recognizable open source license. It was a free software license, so there was no question about the Qt free edition being Qt bit free or not. So there was an update in 2004 to the agreement in order to incorporate all the previous updates that happened over the years. And another important term was integrated into that agreement back then. Again, trust in KDE about the Qt, the open source nature of Qt. The agreement stated that if KDE stops using Qt, then the agreement can be cancelled. So as long as KDE is using Qt for its own products, then the agreement is active. And this is very important. So, another big milestone in terms of the foundation and the licensing, Qt 4 was released in 2005, this time adding support for GPL version 3. And the important here, at least for KDE, but also for open source developers, is that this time it included Windows under the open source agreement. So open source developers now, and KDE developers could ship software, open source software on Windows, which was a big change because it offered the opportunity to reach a much wider audience. Until then, it was limited to Linux and iOS, which had a very, very small margin back then. In 2008, we talked about acquisition. Here's a big first acquisition. Nokia acquired Trolltech, and with it, the ownership to the Qt toolkit. You can understand that when an acquisition happens, this is when the agreement goes in place, because you don't know what the new owner will do. Will they continue developing Qt the same way? Do they know that the agreement is there? Do they know what are the next steps for them? So again, the good thing is that Nokia included KDE members and the KDE Free Qt Foundation members from the beginning in these meetings, so they understood very well where they were entering and the free nature of Qt. So a year later, Qt 4.5 was released. This time it added LGPL support. Burkhard, if I'm pronouncing it right, will talk a bit more about how you can develop software under the GPL Qt license. So stick around and you'll learn more about that. And then there was another update to agreement, the third one, to again incorporate all the updates and the change of ownerships and things like that. So another change in ownerships. DGR acquires Qt from Nokia. Again, people were worried what will happen. The people on the foundation got engaged. They talked to people to see what happened, but everything cleared out when DGR, as the new owner, released Qt 5 under an open governance model a year later. So you might know of the QtProject.org, it's where the Qt open source governance and everything is hosted at the moment. And the big change here, again for KDE, but also open source contributors, was that Qt was now accepting community contributions. So everyone could go there, provide a patch, provide a fix, do testing, and develop code in the open. So this was a very, very important milestone. Another update to the agreement. Again, 3 or 4 years have passed, so they needed to update things. And then the last change in terms of the ownership, DGA transfers Qt to the Qt company. It was a newly formed subsidiary back then of DGA. And there was a fifth agreement update to incorporate those changes as well. The important thing in the fifth agreement, it's the one that is currently active. It hasn't been changed or updated since then. You see there, it has now reached 19 pages. The first version was, I think, 3 pages. So you can see as years go by, complexity increases, more legal things get into the agreement and things like that, more platforms, we'll see about that later. So it's a much more complicated agreement these days, but still it's there and it's very, very active. Just to share a few milestones before I wrap up the historical context, the Qt company went public, so it's now an independent company in 2016, no longer a subsidiary to DGA. Qt6 was released a couple of years ago, and to bring it back to KDE into a couple of months from now, the first KDE release of Plasma frameworks and its apps, mega release as we call it, will ship which will be based for the first time on Qt6, so looking forward to that. So, back to licensing. Qt currently is available under basically 3 licenses: the commercial one, the GPL version 3 and version 2, and the LGPL. What is where? So, the Qt toolkit, I always have an issue pronouncing that, with the essential libraries, with the add-on APIs, with the Qt Creator ID and all that, that's all dual license, which means it's available both for open source developers, but also for proprietary usage. So, under the GPL, you have most of Qt APIs and some of the Qt add-on modules, and then there's just there's a commercial tools that's only available for commercial usage, that they offer some additional tools and solutions, mostly for embedded development, cars and other embedded devices. So this is what the current situation. Very quickly to wrap up what I've been describing, you can see that from the beginning there was support for Linux under the agreement. Very soon macOS was introduced as well. Then Windows, as we mentioned. Android, an interesting thing about Android, it was incorporated into the agreement because KDE actually started developing applications for Android based on Qt. So it made sense to transfer this into the agreement because you now had Qt running on Android. And at the same time, some years after iOS, you will see Wayland there under the dashed line. The agreement kind of covers for Wayland in a way that, because it covers the successor to the X11 system. So it's embedded in the agreement that it covers X11 and any future successor of that. As you might know if you follow Linux, Wayland is kind of like the Linux desktop situation. Every next year will be the year that everybody will switch to Wayland. Hasn't happened yet. So it's very possible that an agreement in the next years will be the agreement will be updated in order to also include exclusively Wayland, because we're not there at the moment. So that's why you have the dashed line there. So to wrap up, the KDE Qt Foundation has been around for 25 years now. You saw how it went through several changes in the Qt ownership. There are many times that the licensing situation got into question. There was a lot of back and forth, many discussions, many negotiations on that front. There was moments that there was a lot of tension among the two parties, the Qt company or the Qt owners at any given time, and the KDE side. But overall, both KDE and Qt continue to thrive today. KDE takes advantage of Qt, it takes advantage of all the new features it adds every new release, it takes advantage of all the technologies, all the platforms that it allows to be developed on, so that's very, very good. At the same time, Qt has been using KDE in a way that KDE developers are among the first to test all the new features. They want to see how the new cool stuff works. They will report bugs, they will provide fixes themselves. I don't know now, I don't remember the number, but a big percentage of Qt fixes and contributions comes from KDE developers if we're talking open source contributions. So both the commercial side and the open source side, we can say, is thriving. The KDE Qt Foundation has proven to be a very, very successful initiative over the years. It still continues to safeguard the open source nature of Qt, both in the present but also looking forward. And the most important aspect for me, at least, is that it brings people together. It's a commercial side together with the community side, sit on a table, and it makes them want to talk to each other, so it can benefit both. So we feel that it has been very, very successful over the years, and it was always a challenge to cover both commercial and open source interests, right? So that's it, more or less, from me. Friendly reminder, if you use Qt, remember to contribute, because it is an open source project after all. Thank you.